Clinical researchers, what is up? I just did a podcast which I wanted to put on YouTube as well after my Today in Clinical Research, the first episode where I just read the news. So check that out if you missed it, the video right before this one. But this one is about how to transition from a W-2 employee, CRC, CRA, it doesn't matter, W-2 employee to an independent contractor, consultant, entrepreneur. So it's a 18-minute of audio with sorry, it's just audio. The picture is gonna be something I find and put up there. But listen, let me know in the comments what you think. Like, subscribe, hit that bell. Please hit that bell so you don't miss out on Today in Clinical Research, because those are I have a good feeling about that one. Right? Enjoy. Take care. Guru Nation, welcome to another episode of Random Musings from the Clinical Trials Guru. This is episode 290. I am doing it right back to back after I did my first Today in Clinical Research with Dan Sfera. Almost forgot the name of my own new show. It's where I read the news, the replay. I read the news of what's going on in real time, and I discuss what that means for you clinical researchers. So right now I'm currently live. This podcast is not live, but that show is live on YouTube and also Twitter. So those are the two places. If you follow me, you can watch it. You can see it when it goes live. I'm waiting for LinkedIn to approve my live account, and then I'm waiting for Instagram API to open up their API so that this platform can use Instagram. All right. So right now I'm reading some questions. Could you do a podcast on monitor visits? I had one last week, and this monitor had never been a coordinator. Okay, so this is from Twitter, actually. I'm checking it right now. So the live stream did well. I was able to, it's on YouTube right now. The replay is available. Today in Clinical Research, I read the news stories. I read like 3 or 4 news stories that I think are important for that day or that week, or something that I think is like on the rise. Like today was about virtual trials and about vendors in the industry and basically technology. And it kind of relates to this podcast topic that I'm going to do. I'm going to introduce this podcast topic soon because it's related to like 5 similar email themes I've been getting lately from very high level, senior level people at CROs, at pharma, basically those two stakeholders, CROs and pharma, where they no longer want to be employees. I actually just talked to a physician today, same boat, works for a big hospital system here in California, hates it, doesn't want to be an employee, is an entrepreneur. So, and I understand a lot of you people listening and watching, because I'll put the this audio on YouTube as well. A lot of you people listening and watching right now are kind of thinking, the same thing. Like a lot of you guys and gals are also entrepreneurs. You're just stuck in a W-2 or a 1099 role. And a 1099 is more of an entrepreneur than a W-2. But anyways, you feel like you can do more. And this is a common theme I've been getting. So without getting into details, basically these 5 emails and calls that I got over the past 10 days, I want to say, are all share a lot in common. Basically, it says, hey, Dan, I'm a senior level, blah, 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 at this company. It's either a CRO or a pharma. I want to get out there as an independent consultant, contractor, maybe even like some kind of entrepreneurship role in the space. Can you advise me? So those are different routes to take, right? Like if you want to start a research site or if you want to start a CRO, we've done tons of stuff on that. I'll continue to do more stuff on that because that is probably the nearest and dearest to my heart. And so my podcast is going to be full of that stuff. But I rarely discussed how a W-2 employee can become a consultant, right? And I've never done this because I've never been a W-2 employee. I've always been a site owner and a business owner from the beginning, right? I got really lucky, like the way the chips fell, and that's just how I ran with it. But through my experiences, I've been doing this since 2005, full time. Through my experiences, I've seen so many people I know, monitors, they used to come to my site primarily, consultants I would hire for my site to do things like QA, GCP, training my staff. Now I'm doing that too, and I'm helping other people get into those roles as well. I'm helping people who are in my CRA Academy become consultants, contractors. I'm helping our own instructors do that, right? These are senior level people. So I've seen it. I've seen the roadmap. I know the roadmap. I know the blueprint. I've gone to enough conferences to meet these people who are doing what these other people who are emailing me want to do. And so we're going to break it down. Like, it really boils down to a couple of things, right? You are most likely a specialist, right? And that's good. It's been good your whole career. It kept your job safe. But the problem is when you want to expand and go out on your own, people rarely hire a specialist with just a few skills. Like most of these people, when they contact me, they're very good at clinical operations, but they have very little understanding of the business side of things, of regulatory affairs, of how to do, like, for example, a 510K submission, which is something I'm working on now, trying to learn how to do, right? You got to learn these things on your own. That's one thing. Add more skills. So chances are you're specialized in one area. Learn more skills. Learn other aspects of the industry, all right? Clinical research, the way I look at it, it's like a massive forest, okay? And then you have all these trees and animals and even like leaves on the tree and dirt and grass. Like you have all these aspects that make up that forest. You want to understand as much of that forest as possible. If you're like an insect on a leaf in the corner, in a tree, in the corner of that forest, you are hyper specialized, which may be good. Everybody needs to start there. But you need to at least zoom out to see the leaf, then zoom out further to see the tree, then zoom out further to see your region of the forest, and eventually see the whole forest. Very few people actually have that viewpoint. And all of them give the keynote presentations well, even they don't actually see the whole thing, but they see most of it. And they're the ones giving the keynote presentations at DIA and at Bio. Not even so much at ACRP and SOCR, because those are specialized people too. I'm talking more of like the pharma meetings, right? DIA and Bio. Those people giving the keynotes, they made themselves key opinion leaders. So step number one, if you want to do this, and the beautiful thing about this part is you can do it without quitting your job. So if you're a senior level person, you've been at your organization for a number of years, and you go and talk to somebody and say, hey, I love what I'm doing, I'm going to keep doing it, but I also want to learn, for example, regulatory affairs. Or I want to learn, maybe more specific, how to file a 510K. Can I shadow somebody here? You don't need to pay me anything extra, just so I can learn. Can someone mentor me? I want to grow my career, right? That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is just to network. Go to DIA, go to Bio. Try to get your employer to pay for it. If they don't pay for it, ask them if they can contribute some time off, some paid time off, so you can go to the conference. If they say no, take a sick days. Go to the conference and pay for it yourself. You're going to network. You're going to meet with people. You're going to meet with the same people doing the same exact thing that you want to do. They're there. If you want to know a hint of where they are, they're probably giving a presentation at one of the breakout sessions or even a keynote. So you want to network with those people, right? You want to go at every booth. At DIA, I walked the booth. I walked the exhibit hall the entire 3 days I was there. I think I stopped by every single booth that was there. I wasn't even in full sales mode. I was just curious to see who's there. Most of them were tech vendors, but some were interesting. Some were CROs that were looking for site networks and assistance with their virtual trials. Like, I actually got some real business out of it. So I know you can too. You just got to step outside of your comfort zone. If you've been a CRA for 10 years, it doesn't make too much sense to keep going to SOCRA or ACRP, all right? Because you're just going to refine. Now, if you want to become a key opinion leader in that space, in the CRA world or in the CRC world, then you need to go there and you need to build your brand as a key opinion leader for that topic. If you want to go out and be a contractor and kind of be a generalist, then you got to stop going to those meetings. You got to go to DIA, you got to go to Bio, and you got to mingle and interact with people that are not doing exactly the same thing you do, so that you can learn from them. And by the way, if you don't know anything about regulatory affairs, or another topic that I learned about was adjudication. Janine from BioClinic is an expert on adjudication. I sat through one of her keynotes, or she didn't do a keynote, but one of her presentations on adjudication. I learned a lot in that 30-minute session. Like, you can literally learn from the people presenting. When they're done, you can go interact with them, right? This is what you need to do. So I would do those two things if I were somebody looking to be, if you're a W-2 right now, but you're looking to be a consultant or a contractor for pharma, learn how to become a generalist, right? And you're going to get there by doing different things than you've been doing. You're already an expert. Chances are, if you're one of the 5 or 10 people that emailed me or called me, I actually had this conversation with 3 people, then you're an expert in a few things. Well, figure out what you're not an expert in and start to get some competency there, right? That's the way to do it. Networking, LinkedIn is great. Shadowing people in your current organization, right? If you're working for a big CRO or a big pharma, there are people in regulatory affairs and in ClinOps and in all these departments. If you have enough influence at that place and you have somebody on your side that's your line manager or your manager, you can talk to them and say, hey, I want to expand my skill set. Most employers are going to want you to do that. And if they don't, you probably should leave there anyways, because you're just a commodity to them at that point, right? I never understood why some of these big CROs, they don't want their staff. I mean, I can understand why the junior level, they don't want to expand their skill set outside of what they're doing. For example, if you're a junior CRA, there's no point in learning about regulatory affairs. You need to learn how to be a good CRA, right? But I don't understand how they don't take their senior CRAs and their senior level people and try to expand and make them generalists. I think it's foolish, because I think it leads to a lot of turnover. But that's a whole nother topic. That's a rant for another day. For this podcast, I'm specifically answering these questions about how do I go from W-2 to contractor consultant. So those are the ways I mentioned, all right? I mean, it's really, and then just going out there and doing it. And you got to look at your contract. Does your contract preclude you from taking on other business? Because that's a risk, all right? I'm not going to tell you what to do there. You got to do what you got to do. If it doesn't, then that's not a risk, okay? Then you need to I would create a separate company for your consulting, an LLC. Or even if you're an independent contractor, if you're going from W-2 CRA to 1099 CRA, you want to have an LLC. You want to have another entity, just another layer to protect you personally from liability. Because the first thing that happens when you go from W-2 to consultant or contractor is liability is all on you. When you operate as an employee under the umbrella of an employer, the liability is on the employer for anything that should go wrong. When you're a consultant or a contractor, the liability is on you. So you need to have errors and omissions insurance. I actually have to ask Chris what we use, but Hiscox, Hiscox, was one of the vendors that I think we actually use them for errors and omissions. It's something like $900 a year for a CRA. So I have that as a contract CRA, and it covers me in any role, consultant, any 1099 role that I do with any company outside of my parent company, DSCS. So when I do this independent contracting stuff, I do it under my LLC, Clinical Trials Guru. So that's in a nutshell what you need to do. If you want to open a site or a CRO, I actually do think that going from W2 to a consultant and then a site owner is an option, because you're going to learn all aspects, especially if you get into training sites, site operations consultant. It translates well into running your site, and essentially you're going to be a site director of your own site. So you're getting paid to kind of learn what you're doing. There's a lot of sites out there that would love to hire on a 1099 basis senior CRAs to train their staff. I know it. This is the reason why we're starting the CRC Academy, because we know clinics that want to hire us to train their staff, to train their coordinators, because it's really hard to find a brand new coordinator. So that's another idea. Training sites. You're in a market, chances are you're in an urban city, an urban setting. There are probably 30 research clinics in a 30-mile radius of where you are. If you're in Houston, if you're in San Diego, if you're in LA, if you're in Chicago, I mean any of these big places, you have tons, even more than that. You need to go. First of all, you need to network with all of them on LinkedIn. Find out who the PIs are, who the owners are, who the site directors are, and then network with them there so you're not a stranger. Then go. Actually go in person to all those sites. Talk to somebody in charge. Say, I am a senior, whatever you are, CRA. I'm also doing consulting for sites in my area. I'm just stopping by to see if you needed help with anything, right? Just keep it vague. Then they're going to ask you, well, what do you help with? And this is where you got to make the decision. Do you pigeonhole yourself into saying, well, I help with quality assurance and basically serving as your in-house QA specialist? Or do you expand your role to say, I help you get studies, I help you negotiate budgets, I help you train your staff, I do QA for you, all these things, right? I help you network your business. It depends, and the answer to that is, it depends on what you want to do. What do you want to specialize in? If you want to open a site, then you need to say yes to all those things, because that's essentially everything that you're going to be doing there is what you're going to be having to do when you have your own site, right? So now you're a consultant. The consultant is like a bridge between your W-2 job and your dream job of owning your own site or CRO. It's a bridge. So always work backwards from what you want, okay? If you just want to be a consultant, then you need to choose the area that you want to specialize in, right? If you want to specialize in a lot of different things and just be a generalist, then you're going to have to say yes to a whole lot of projects that you're uncomfortable with and figure out as you go and start putting yourself out there. So that's short, sweet, simple podcast. It's important though. I feel like I need to do more of these in the future. But I am losing my voice because I just did it today in clinical research. And prior to that, I literally had teleconference after teleconference after teleconference with people that want to start sites through my consulting firm, DSCS CRO and DSCS Sweat Equity Investments. So my voice is gone. But thank you for listening and watching. And let me know if this was helpful. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.